going to draw some hands today with some pastel pencil, and with everything we always draw, let's just try find the gesture. For me, I'm just going to start off with the wrist because that's a bit prominent to me right now, and then follow. I think I'm going to follow from the wrist down to that middle finger. That's more of a full sweep, isn't it? Really there. Now you're like starting the same as starting a figure drawing, like that'd be your shoulders and then your gesture down here. So I've got the sweep of the wrist, which I think is just a little bit more tilted, and I'm going to do the knuckles, that sweep there, which tilts in. It's literally like a figure drawing where you got the shoulders and then you got the hips. Now we've got to find, I'll just do an indication of the outside of the hand there, and the same here. I'll just follow that gesture line, and maybe we should try find actually the gesture of the are they also called knuckles? The joints of your fingers. We can see it's sweeping up, down, and back up. So we'll follow that line there. When I say line, I just mean imaginary line in your head that you can kind of see and place it down. Have to remember that this is higher up than the pinky finger because it's coming towards us, so let me just make sure I'm doing that correctly. If I do that cross, what does it look like? I'm right in that, aren't I? Yeah. Okay, so this needs to be a bit higher up, so that means maybe I can go down a little more here and then go about like that. And if I go across, what we're looking like, so it should be around here. Should be my pinky maybe? Yeah, it's just slightly below. I'll figure it out later, I think, just in case I'm wrong. Maybe we'll find where again a gesture of the rest of the fingertips go. They kind of follow the same gesture here, don't they? Except you have the pinky being higher up just because it's shorter, isn't it? So we'll follow that. And then go up a bit like that. Just a bit more of a an exaggeration, or a sharper turn, I suppose, upwards. Well, this one's a bit more gradual, eh? And we'll just follow gesture all the way through. Get the thumb in. Thumb just has a nice sweep to it. Follow that knuckle of the thumb. Go in, sweep, onto the nail there. We'll do nail as a straight line. Okay, I think we've got mostly everything here. We can maybe follow just the shorter bumps of everything. So maybe we'll separate the light and dark a little bit. Do the knuckles in the dark, that side, and I think all here is going to be in darkness really. And the only thing we've got to separate is the fingers. So if I did that as a sweep of that outside of that knuckle, this would be the outside of that finger. And the finger gets a bit thinner as it goes towards the tip. Thicker at the knuckle, then again thinner as it comes in. I'm not going to be too worried about getting this super accurate. I really just want to get kind of some convincing hands down on my page. And feel this out. If I am wanting a bit accurate, I can kind of follow the negative space between the two knuckles here. Then coming down to this fingertip. Again, always doing kind of sweeping motions. Nothing too timid yet. And on to the next one as well. Now this one's closer, so maybe about here. There's now a negative space between them there. And the knuckle's a bit higher. And so is the fingertip, but I can just follow my gesture line to get that correct. Not exactly, I'm not a big fan of the way I drew that one, but sure, look. Actually, my hands are getting a bit all over the place, aren't they? Maybe I should have been a bit more measured, because I think I'm losing it completely. Let me see, maybe I can just draw some really thin hands. And what if I did it like that? You know, I have the option to Yeah, that's okay. I can fix it. I can just make that shorter or thinner. Could have made the fingers wider as well, but sure, we've already got that in. Let's see how it looks if we continue. If I want to make sure I'm getting the length of that thumb down, I can follow kind of the sweep from underneath the knuckle there and sweep upwards. That feels okay to me so far. Now maybe we should be a bit more accurate as we go forth. Just get that wrist in, get an indication of that arm moving back. So it won't look super great on my page just because of the perspective we have. So let's start feeling out the rest of the drawing. Now I'm just going to be figuring out if something's straight or it's curved. That's all I'm going to be worrying about. The hand's quite bony, but then soft tissue underneath, and representing that is important when drawing the hands. And then it's just kind of a lot of also, like, when you come to values, a lot of steps down. I'll show you that a bit more when we go to shade. But right now I'm going to be a little bit more careful and accurate, and just mark things out for myself before we continue to shade. You can see this cast shadow from the pointer finger onto the index. We gotta get that in. And then that kind of comes down like this, follows the form, soft tissue underneath, onto this fingernail, and kind of sharper turns and a sharper feeling as that bone is on we can feel that bone on the right side there. I might need to sharpen this a bit more, but I'll continue for this drawing. It's fine. Again, just marking out as we go along, seeing what's straight, seeing what's curved, seeing how things interlock in this drawing. Again, I'm not seeing as much as that finger, so just feeling it out. Probably could have done a bit thinner as well. Maybe we can fix that as we go on to our drawing. Or our shading even. Through our drawing. Nice hard feeling off that nail, gotta get that in. I think my hand's gonna be a bit thinner again. It's more than fine. Just want a convincing hand, so as long as it's kind of in proportion with itself, it should feel okay. Pastel and newsprint. I'm not totally, precious with the drawing at all. Things can change as we go along. Find that thumb in. There's a nice cast shadow underneath that thumb. Great kind of and like the angle of the thumb makes it quite flat, but simple shape. Most thing is just trying to keep it simple throughout, so it looks convincing. Alright, now we can do a bit of shading, I think. Oh, well, actually, let's mark out the knuckles just a little bit for myself later. I know the knuckles going to be a bit dark here, and then a bit dark here as well. If I put all this in darkness, maybe I do. So let's just start shading this in, trying to do it uniformly throughout, and it should pop up quite well. Again, trying to go with the direction of the form throughout my shading. I'm not going to be too accurate with values on this because it's just a sketch. It's really just studying. I want to get the feeling of this form hitting the light and this one turning away from it, so I'm going to do this whole bottom half in shadow. I know there's more nuances to it, but we might have a choice to get to that later. And when I say that you can shade with the form, like I mean this form it's a cylinder, so you can either shade going around this way or going down. And shading around, I suppose, makes it feel a bit more round, but it's like we're cross-hatching with pen. It's kind of up to you how you want to feel it out. Like you can see on these fingers, like I know there's a bit of a gap in the photo reference, but we don't really need it for this drawing. And also, like, this is like a nice soft edge we can work with. Same on this thumb, this pinky finger here. It makes these fingers kind of all conjoin or like sit together, which is very nice. They are one, you know, you want to treat them as one. And you kind of break off every now and then. I could get into the veins, but I'm not really going to do that, am I? It's not that kind of drawing. Maybe if you were painting a bit, you could do a bit of that. Now I want to start defining some of that shadow just a little bit more. I've got a fairly uniform shadow going on, but let's get a nice darker value in there. Wherever we see fit. We used a photo reference obviously, but you've also got to feel out some things, you know, to suit your design of the drawing. And I'm going to come in my eraser. I also noticed there is this sweep and step down with the wrist, like this whole form. There's just a slight step down, just to show you. But it's not super prevalent in the photo reference. Might also not come down that much. Maybe it's going to be about here actually. Just to give an indication for myself and just to show you guys. Not the most accurate thing in the world, I know. Actually, it nearly kind of comes down like that, and then like this gets a bit softer as it connects. Yeah, sorry, I'll continue the drawing. So let us get our eraser and clean some stuff up a bit. You can also start to draw with the eraser. You know, we haven't defined too much shapes around. Really, when it comes to fingers, it's about like what form overlaps another to make it feel good. And then you gotta work with like your hard and soft edges, you know. Like I can make all this side of the hand just a bit softer. And I can do that by, what I mean by soft edges is like, you know, this, like this value transfers to this value slowly, I suppose. Instead of like, you know, like you put a black and a white together, that's a really hard edge. But if these values are similar, that's a soft edge. And there's also lost edges and all that kind of stuff between. There's as much edge variation as there is value variation. And how they interact with each other. Use my finger to soften just some marks. And, you know, if this was, you know, I kind of like tried to think of this stuff if I was painting it. I think if I was painting, I wouldn't do much more. I'd even maybe keep it a bit simpler. You're really just trying to figure out like direction, flow, and whatnot when it comes to painting. I don't really like to describe things too much in too much anatomy. Like you can study that stuff; it's very good to study. But I like, you know, like abstract realism. I think it just feels good in the old brain. Letting the viewer's eye complete the drawing is important too. So I won't do too much more now here. I just want to fix a few things up. Maybe I can just design some harder and softer edges with line work and value. make these knuckles a bit more nuanced. Oh, why is it? This pastel's starting to feel a bit weird on the paper. I think maybe that eraser got rid of some of the grain. Gonna make this whole side of the page just a bit softer. Makes it sit better. Makes it sit a bit better, sorry. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, the pastel's not taken to the page as much as it was earlier in the drawing. It's been a while since I drew a hand now I think about it. Maybe not as confident as I used to be. But I'm okay with the result today. Anyway, thanks for coming guys, and I hope you enjoyed that. Again, this whole, I use the same method every time to draw a figure, to draw a head. Just think of big shapes every time you draw anything. Hands can be a bit scary, but they don't have to be. Sorry, I know I was signing off there, but you know, I will for real will now. Thanks everybody.